Finding ourselves in an easy seated pose. Feel free to softly close the eyes. Start to tune into the breath. Begin to bring the gaze inward. And with every inhale, feel the spine lengthen and stack. On the exhale, soften through the shoulders, the neck and face. Allow the elbows to drop, the palms to blossom open. Breathe a little bit deeper into the belly, down into the hips. To lengthen each inhale, completely emptying the lungs as you exhale. Feeling the body sink heavy into the seat, rooting down into the legs, the hips. Maybe setting an intention for today's practice, keeping it at the front of the mind. Couple more cycles, trying to deepen each breath. Noticing any tight spaces expanding around the ribs, the back body. Softening around the eyebrows, the face and jaw. With every inhale, sit a little taller. Feel the breath flowing in through the nose. Softening a little bit more on the exhales. Letting go of any excess tension in the body. Starting to feel present in this moment and on the mat. We'll take 3 big breaths together, emptying the lungs first. Then inhaling for 3, 2, 1, exhaling. Inhaling for 3, 2, 1, releasing. Last one for 4, 3, 2, 1, letting go. Feeling all the tension melt away in the shoulders, the face. Maybe drawing a smile across the lips, up into the cheeks and eyes. Inhale, sweep the arms to the sky, stretch through the fingers. Exhale, side body stretch either direction, crawling the hands away from you. Maybe spiral the heart open. Let the bottom elbow begin to reach down for the ground. Feel the hips heavy. Breathing into the ribs, the armpit. Inhale, reach for the sky, return to center. Exhale, opposite side. Notice if the opposite hip is lifting, try to press it down into the mat. Maybe bring the gaze up towards the ceiling. Or allow that bottom elbow to take a gentle bend, feeling a deeper stretch along the side body. Big breath into that tight space. Inhale to return to center, stretch to the sky. Exhale, twist to the first side. Staying here for a few breaths. maybe planting the back palm if that feels good. Allow the shoulders to come together, sitting tall through the spine, and never forcing it in your twist, but feel each inhale deepen the stretch into the ribs. Inhale, return to center, reach through the fingers. Exhale, opposite side. Double check the shoulders are down the back. Feel even pressure into the hips and the seat. Gently hugging to the belly to the spine as you let the ribs expand and separate. One more cycle. Inhale, unwind, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, interlace the fingers, flip the palms, soften the shoulders. Inhale, reach a little further up and back. Exhale, lean to one side. Inhaling up, belly's tight. Exhale out, straighten through the elbows and flaring the palms. Inhaling up, return to center. Exhale, chin to chest, round the back to the wall behind you. Stay here for another breath or two. Flare the palms open. Push forward as you lean back. Inhale up, reach for the sky. Exhale, cactus the elbows. 2 more times. Inhale up, stretch through the fingers. Exhale, pinch the shoulders. Inhale up. Exhale, flare the fingers. Inhale up, reach for the sky. Exhale, walk the hands out, and we'll stay here for a few breaths. Letting the hands press firmly into the ground. Push the tailbone down. Noticing if it's lifting and rising. Start to find energy through the center of the palms. Next, inhale, rise to tabletop, unwinding the knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhale, cow belly, drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, angry cat back. Flatten through the palms. Let the elbow creases loop forward. Feel the shins heavy. Press the top of the feet down into the ground. Adding any extra movement that feels good, like rocking forward and back or side to side. Just looking for a stretch across the trunk. A couple more cycles, feeling the first knuckle heavy, the thumb pressing flat. On this exhale, we'll pause in our angry cat back, chin to chest, round the back to the sky, press into the palms, shift the weight into the feet, feel the feet heavy, breathe into the back body. Inhale to neutral spine, return to center. Exhale, just soften the shoulders, sinking into the limbs. Inhale, bring the gaze over one shoulder, shift the hips to the other side. Exhale to switch, looking over the opposite shoulder, shift the hips to the other side. Making a C shape as you rock side to side. Notice if the shins are lifting, if the feet are lifting. Try to press them down as you go side to side. Feel strong into the palms. Gluing the limbs down. One more breath. Pausing at center. Double check the palms are heavy. Lean forward wherever you can. And then lean back. Adding any extra movement that feels good. Maybe letting the shoulders drift past the wrist if that feels good. Or letting the hips reach towards the heels. Or rocking the head side to side as you move. One more pass. Pausing at center. Connect the corners. Big circles. Maintaining our tabletop as we circulate. Let the shoulders reach past the wrist if that feels good. Let the hips reach left and right. Feel the shins heavy, the feet anchoring down, and then switching directions when you return to center. Notice if the first fingers are lifting, first knuckles are lifting. Try to press them down into the mat as you circulate, welcoming any pops and cracks in the body. Trying to glue everything down. One more breath. Pausing when you return to center, making our way back to tabletop. We'll turn our fingertips towards the walls, left and right. So middle fingers point to the walls on either side of us. Stay here or gently rock side to side. Trying to keep the palms flat, especially the first knuckle heavy as you go side to side, feeling a gentle stretch into the wrist, maybe the hands and forearms. Pausing when you return to center. First fingers, middle fingers can point forward. We'll tuck the toes. Inhale to float the knees. Belly's tight. Belly's tight. Knees are floating. Bring the heels together. Knees are wide. Exhale, reach the hips back. Maybe let the ears come between the arms. Hug the belly to the spine. Knees are still off the ground. Inhale, returning with the knees floating in our tabletop. Exhale, knees to the ground, puppy pose, walk the hands out. Hips stay stacked over the knees. Press the toe mounds down into the ground. Feel the palms strong and heavy as you let the back arch naturally to the floor. Feel a stretch into the upper back, all along the spine. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, down dog, sending the hips to the sky. Feel free to bend the knee, shake out the head and hips, whatever feels good. Middle fingers are forward, palms are flattening, elbow creases looping to the front, shoulders gliding away from the ears, belly's tight, thighs are charged. Inhale to float both heels. Exhale as the heels return. 2 more times, your own pace. Inhale to float the heels, belly's tight. Exhaling down. Last one, double check the palms are strong and pressing. Returning to your down dog. Inhale, high plank. Stay here for a few breaths. Quick scan of the body. Belly's tight, heels reaching to the wall behind you. Exhale, knees to the ground, heart to the ground. Baby cobra. On the inhale, gentle lift. Exhale, let's lay on our chest. Pause at the bottom, hands to a T. Inhale, the right leg reaches up and over to the left hand. Exhale as it returns to center. Going to wherever you can, other side. Inhale, left leg towards the right arm. Exhaling down. We'll do one more on each side. Don't worry about how far you go, but focus on feeling a stretch into the back. Maybe the hip, the leg. Last one, other side. Anchoring down through your limbs, the upper arms, the palms. Once you return to center, hands can frame the heart, tuck the toes, exhale, down dog, send the hips to the sky. And we'll do that whole thing one more time. Double check the belly's tight, the palms are flat and heavy. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, knees to the ground, heart to the ground. Baby cobra. As you inhale, heavy in the hips, peel the shoulders back. Exhale, laying on the chest. Hands to a T, right leg reaches up and over to the left arm. Exhale as you return to center. Your own pace, other side. Try to anchor the shoulders down into the ground. Feel a different stretch into the trunk. One more on each side, pressing the palms heavy, letting the knee reach up. Matching your movements with your breath. Once you return to center, hands can frame the heart, tuck the toes, exhale, down dog, send the hips to the sky. Bend the knees, Hero's pose, returning the knees to the ground, heels together, sitting onto the feet. Hands can come up onto the hips. Inhale to rise. Go ahead and tuck the toes. Feel the toes heavy, hands onto the low back. Squeeze the shoulders and elbows together and bridge the hips forward. Inhale, soft camel pose. If you're comfortable, you can lift the chin. Feel the weight shift into the feet. Take pressure off the knees. Hug the elbows together. Let the belly rise. Chin to chest. Inhale, return to center. Exhale, hips to heels. Keeping the hands on the hips, hips on the heels. Start to shift the weight into the feet. Feel a gentle stretch into the arches. Just shifting the weight back. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. Exhale to plant the palms. Making our way back to down dog, sending the hips up. Adding any extra movement that feels good, shaking out any excess tension. Start to flex the belly, bend the knees, bring the gaze forward, hop or stepping to the top of the mat, forward fold. We'll ragdoll, grab the elbows, let the head hang heavy. Taking a gentle bend into the knees, let the belly rest onto the thighs as you rock side to side. Feel the four corners of both feet anchoring down, especially the big toe mounds. Pausing at center, release the arms, bend the knees, curl the spine as you rise, making our way to mountain pose. Looping the shoulder blades back last at the top. Lifting the toes, spreading them, planting them, firming up through the thighs. Squeeze the glutes and let the shoulders glide down the back. Charging down through the fingertips. Inhale, reach for the sky, interlace the fingers. Exhale, lean to one side, side body stretch. Inhale, up, heavy into the feet. Exhale, other side, strong along the ribs. Inhale, up, return to center. Exhale, small back bend, cactus the elbows. Inhale, up. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift, inhale, back is flat. Exhale, down. Chair pose on the inhale, sweeping the floor. Making sure you can see the toes past the knees, flexing the belly to support the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen out. Exhale, down, plant the palms. Inhale through your flow or meet in down dog. Feel free to find yourself in down dog at any time. You can also come into any variation of your flow, whether it's on the knees or on the toes. Inhale, the right leg to the sky. Double check the hips are closed. The toes are pointing down. Press into the right heel a little firmer. Exhale, knee to nose. Pause here. Squeeze it in. Get the knee closer to the tricep, closer to the chest. Plant the foot. Inhale, rise, crescent lunge. Trying to sink a little deeper. Feel strong through the arms. On the inhale, reach the thumbs back. Exhale, sink the back knee. 2 more times. Inhale, up to stand. Exhale, down. Last one. Inhale, up. Press through the back heel. Exhale, down. Let's pause at the bottom. Untuck the back toes. Exhale, straighten the front leg, toes to the sky. Your own pace, your own breath. Inhale to press into the ground, hips reach in front of the shoulders. On the exhale, hips reaching back. Couple more times, your own pace. If you have a block, if you have blocks, you can always have them under the hands for support as you move through these poses. If a certain pose feels good, feel free to just pause and hold it, stretch into that space. But one more cycle. On this exhale, we'll pause in our fold. Double check the toes are pointed to the sky. The shoulders are plugging down the back. Belly's tight. Inhale, point and float the front leg, lots of core. Exhale, thread it through tabletop. Tuck the toes, down dog, keeping the right leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, high plank. Exhale through your flow, or just meet in down dog. And you can always take it as a gentle float, staying on the knees, the hips. Feel the palms heavy, flex the belly. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Double check the hips are closed, toes are pointing down. Push into that left heel. Exhale, knee to nose. Let's pause here, squeeze it in. Get it closer to the chest, closer to the elbow. Start to plant the left foot. Inhale, rise, crescent lunge. Feel strong and grounded through both feet. Exhale, sink the back knee. Inhale to rise, belly's tight. Exhale, down. Last one. Exhaling, lots of control. Let's pause at the bottom, untuck the back toes. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Cycling through at your own pace. Inhale, press the ground away from you, hips in front of the shoulders. On the exhale, hinging back. Feel free to use blocks for support under the palms if you have them. If you don't have a block but you need support and you're near a wall, you can always use a wall as well. Couple more cycles. Maybe sinking in any pose that feels good. Pausing for a breath or two. Last one. And on this exhale, we'll pause in our fold. Double check the toes are pointed to the sky. Start to flex the belly. Inhale, point and float the front leg. Exhale as you thread it through, plant the palms. Three-legged dog on the inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, high plank. Exhale through your flow, or just meet in down dog. Elbows hug the body in chaturanga. Shoulders peel back in up dog. Inhale to bend the knees. Exhale, hopper, step forward, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, down. Softly bend the knees. Inhale, rise and reach. Reach for the sky, small back bend. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Halfway lift, inhale. Back is flat. Exhale, down. Chair pose on the inhale, sweeping the floor. Feel the shoulders plug down the back. Double check you can see the toes. Stay here or inhale, hands to shoulder height. Exhale the right arm back for a twist. Double check the knees are forward, shoulders are soft. Inhale the hands to center. Exhale, other side. Stretch through the fingers, soft through the shoulders. Inhale the hands to center. Exhale, dive it down. Halfway lift, lengthen out. Exhale, down, plant the palms. Inhale through your flow, or just meet in down dog. Inhale the right leg to the sky. Exhale to bend the knee and stack the hips open, keeping the shoulders squared. Stay here or lower your foot down to the ground for wildling or flip dog. Bridging the hips up, reaching through the fingers. Breathe into the belly. Plant the right palm, three-legged dog on the inhale. Warrior one as you exhale. Left foot plants, rising the arms. Heels try to line up. Your back foot is at 45 degrees. And with every exhale, try to square the hips, close gently, like you're corkscrewing the feet down into the mat from the hips. With every breath, let the left arch of the foot lift and rise. Try to straighten the back knee. As you exhale, sink a little deeper. Stay here or exhale, interlace the fingers, bow it down, humble warrior. Let the crown reach for the ground as the hands spill up and over the face. Notice if the front leg is doing all the work. Press heavier into the back leg. Try to scoop the right hip underneath. Hugging the belly close towards the thigh. On the inhale, rising, reach for the sky. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Hands are going to clasp the elbows behind the back, or as close as you can, maybe just the wrist. So front leg is straight. Close the hips forward, square them to the front. Exhale to fold at the hips, bowing down. Maybe you're going halfway. Maybe you can go a little deeper. Feel free to let the back arch if that feels good, but roll the right hip back. Keep pressing into the left foot. Belly's tight. Push into the right big toe mound. Press into the knife edge of the left foot. On the inhale, rise, return to center, release the fingers. Exhale, warrior two, blossom open. Nice big step. Readjusting the feet. Back foot's at 90. Front heel bisects the back arch. And with every breath, I want to try and see if my front knee can reach back to the wall behind me while my back thigh spirals open so my hips feel a gentle stretch as I reach forward and back with my fingertips. Belly's tight, soft through the shoulders. Inhale, straighten the front knee, reach for the sky. Exhale to sink. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale a little deeper. Last one. Stretch through the fingers. Exhaling down. Reverse warrior on the inhale. Bend into the front knee. Exhale, extended side angle, reaching forward. We'll do that one more time. Inhale to reverse, back foot is heavy. Exhale, extended side angle. Now you can stay on the elbow, but try to take pressure off of the arm, so push into the back thigh. If you're comfortable, your right hand can reach for the ground or a block. Try to spiral the heart open. Press into the back leg, sink into the hips. One more big breath. Reach through those top fingers. Exhale, lizard's pose, both hands to the inside. Feel free to sink the back knee. Come into any progression in your practice. Let's just try and warm up into the hips. We'll come into a deeper stretch here in a second. So feel free to lower the back knee. You have a block. You can rest your elbows on the block. Feel free to rest the elbows on the floor if that feels good too. But a couple more big breaths. Feel free to stay here in this progression. If you want to come into a deeper stretch, you want to try it out, you can have your block nearby for this, just in front of your face if you need it. But deeper stretch, rise that back knee, stay up onto the toes, roll the right hip back, and we're going to get the right shoulder close to the right knee. Spread the right arm underneath the thigh, coming onto the fingers. Stay here, or the left arm is going to reach out to a T. Stay here still, or bow it down with the forehead. Crawl the hands away till the elbows are straight. Press through the back heel. Trying to straighten the back knee. If you have a block and you want to try this, you can place your forehead on the block as you bow it down. But any progression, trying to keep the back knee straight and the arms underneath the front thigh. One more cycle. And wherever you are, let's return our hands to the inside of the front foot. Belly's tight. Inhale, step forward for your low squat. Take your time. Make sure your heels are heavy in this pose. Readjust as needed. Take your step as wide as needed. And if this pose is uncomfortable or your heels are lifting, you can wedge your block under the hips. It can be tall as well. But just a couple more big breaths. Trying to sink into the seat. With heavy heels, super important. Double check those heels are on the ground. Take pressure off the knees and low back. Let's plant the palms. Hop or step back through your flow. Feel free to find yourself in down dog as well. Any variation. matching your movements with your breath, feeling connected to the mat as you cycle through. Inhale the left leg to the sky. Exhale to bend the knee and stack the hips open. You can stay here or lower your foot to the ground for Wild Thing or Flip Dog. Squeeze the glutes, reach through the fingers, breathe into the belly. Plant the left palm, three-legged dog on the inhale. Exhale, warrior one. Spinning the back foot, rising through the arms. In our warrior one, our heels try to line up. Back foot is at 45 degrees. With every breath, feel the right arch of the foot lift and rise. As you exhale, try to roll the hips squared, straightening through the back knee, flexing the belly. Stay here or interlace the fingers, bow it down, humble warrior, opposite thumb on top. Notice if the front leg is doing all the work, try to press heavy into the back leg, press into the front heel, and roll the left hip back, letting the crown reach down for the ground. Breathe into the belly. Feel the thighs squeeze together. One more cycle. Inhale, warrior one, returning, reach for the sky. Exhale, hands behind the back. Reach for the elbows, maybe opposite arm on top. You can also reach for the wrist. Straighten the front knee. And as you exhale, hinging at the hips, double check the hips are squared. So roll the left hip back. You roll the right hip closed. Feel free to let the spine bend and roll if that feels good. But stay strong in the legs. Feel the left big toe mound press down. Feel the right big toe mound anchor into the ground. Inhale, reach for the sky, release the arms. Exhale, warrior two, blossoming open. Your front foot will bisect the back arch. Back foot's at 90. And if you're comfortable in your stance, you can go a little longer so the ankles line up under the wrist. Shoulders come down the back, belly's flexing and tight. Inhale, straighten the front knee, reach for the sky. Exhale to sink two more times. Inhale up, flex the belly. Exhale, down, press into that back leg. Last one, inhale up, stretch like you want to touch. Exhale, down. Reverse warrior on the inhale, bend into the front knee. Extended side angle as you exhale, press into the back foot. One more time, inhale to reverse, reaching. Exhale, extended side angle. You can stay on the elbow, but try and take pressure off by pushing into the back leg. Feel free to lower the left hand to the ground or on a block. Couple more breaths, spiraling the heart open, reaching through the fingers, big stretch along the side body. Sink the hips. Exhale, lizard's pose, both hands to the inside of the front foot. Any variation before we come a little deeper. So you can sink the back knee. You can come onto the elbows or a block if you have one. But go to where you can, never forcing it. Breathe into the hips. Let the hips sink down a couple more cycles. Adding any extra movements that feel good. You can stay here, or we'll make our way into a deeper stretch in our lizard's pose, rising the back knee. Get the left shoulder close to the left knee, thread it underneath the left leg. Stay here, or crawl the right fingertips out, staying high on the fingers, or continue to bow it down, letting the forehead reach towards the ground. Maybe straightening out the arms. Feel the thighs squeeze together, drive through the back heel. If you have a block, you can always wedge your forehead on the block for support. Feel a deep stretch into the hips, the thighs, the inner thighs. One more cycle. So any variation. And wherever you are, make your way onto the palms. Inhale as you step forward, coming into our low squat, our yogi squat. Double check the heels are heavy and flat. I'm going to come out at an angle so you can see. If you have a block, feel free to sit on your block. We'll be here for a while. I'm going to plant my left hand, get the left shoulder close to my knee. Inhale the right arm to the sky. You can stay here, or bind the top arm. Stay here still, or reach the left hand across the shin towards the right hand, the pants, the fingers. With every breath, spiral the heart open. Bring the gaze up as you sit into the hips. Make sure the heels are flat and heavy. Breathe into the shoulders. Inhale, unwind, reach for the sky. Exhale as you return to center. Let's switch sides. Plant the right palm. Get the shoulder close to the knee. Inhale, the left arm to the sky. Stay here or come into a bind. Stay here or reach the right hand across the shin, towards the pants, the shirt, the fingers, spiraling the heart open. Maybe sit into the hips, the seat, looking up to the sky. Softening through the shoulders, one more cycle. Inhale, unwind, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's plant the palms. Inhale to lift the hips. Tick-tock the hips side to side. We'll tick-tock the feet underneath us, so feet are under the hips. Bend the right knee. Inhale the left arm to the sky. Exhaling, return to center, forward fold. Bend the left knee. Inhale the right arm to the ceiling. You can also have a block under the hand. Exhaling, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, down. Softly bend the knees. Inhale, rise and reach. Reach for the sky. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll make our way into our balancing poses. Feet are under the hips, hands are on the hips. Lift the toes, spread them, plant them, flex the belly, flex the thighs. Inhale, right arm reaches up and back for the right foot or ankle. You can stay here, or we'll make our way to dancer's pose. Inhale, the left arm out, and as you exhale, kick the right leg to the wall behind you. Try to square the hips. Let the fingers counterbalance the top leg. Belly's tight. Roll the hips squared. Feel the strength of your leg open up the front body. Breathe into the belly. Allow the shoulders to come together. Relax the toes. Keep the left big toe mound anchored down. Breathe a little deeper, stronger through that top leg. Inhale, return to center. Exhale to release. We're going to turn the left foot under. Gently press the left knee forward. Releasing. Returning to our mountain pose. Feet under hips. Grounding down through the feet. Hands on the hips. Flex the belly, flex the thighs. Inhale, left arm reaches up and back towards the left foot or the ankle. Stay here, or reach the right hand up. And as you exhale, reach forward and out. Allow the left leg to reach out and back. Hands counterbalancing the strength of the top leg. Feel your limbs reach in opposite directions. Square the hips. Try to roll the left hip close as you reach through the left leg, counterbalancing the body. Breathe deeper. Anchor down through your right big toe. On the inhale, return to center. Exhale to release. We'll turn the right foot under, upside down. Press the knee forward. Releasing. Inhale, reach for the sky. Small back bend. Exhale, interlace the hands behind the back. Feel the shoulders, reach down towards the mat, squeeze the glutes, shining the heart up. Chin to chest, inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, hands onto the hips. Let's tick-tock our feet out, coming into our squat stance. Heels are heavy. Feet are flat. We're going to make our way into our crow today. Middle fingers are forward. If you have a block or a sturdy object, we'll have that close by. If you're familiar with crow, go ahead and make your way through it. If this is your first time or you're pretty new to it, middle fingers are forward. Lift the hips. We're going to bend the elbows, create a shelf for the knees. Get the knee as close to the armpit as you can. And as you inhale, lean forward. Maybe you're just going to lift one foot, keep one toe on the ground. Maybe you're going to lift both heels up. If this is challenging, find your block, your sturdy object. Bring your feet onto it so your knees can come higher up into the arms. If crow is easy, feel free to come into any other progression of hand balance. Maybe start to straighten out the elbows. Put a couple more big breaths. If all of this is challenging and beyond your practice at the moment, come into your squat. Sink into the hips, sink into the heels. Working on our squat. Couple more cycles. Feeling strong through the palms if you're in your crow. Trying to flatten that first knuckle down. Last breath. And wherever you are, let's come back into our squat. My heels are flat. I'm going to inhale, squeeze my arms in, squeeze the knees together. Exhale, drive it out. Inhale, squeeze it in. Exhale, drive it out. Feeling tall through my spine. On this last one, I'll squeeze it in, come into boat pose. Most challenging, my legs are straight, but I can bend the knees and I can tap the toes, but make sure you lift the heart. My toes can tap with my heels up to modify any variation. Feel strong through the fingers. On the inhale, shoulders and heels are going to come down at the same time, all the way down, onto the back. Lots of control. Bend the knees, get the heels close to the hips, make our way into bridge pose. Hands next to the feet, inhale, lift the hips up. Interlace the fingers or reach for the ankles, whatever feels good. Maybe scoop the shoulders under, but feel the big toe mounds anchor down. Feel like the thighs are squeezing together, even though they're not actually moving. Squeeze the glutes a little firmer. Let the belly rise. Try to anchor the upper arms into the ground. Press the arms down. Release the arms if they're under you. Curl the spine down, vertebra by vertebra. See if the hips can touch last, making your way back down. When the hips touch, bring the knees to the chest, release the back. Hands can come underneath the thighs, rock up and down the spine a couple times, making our way to boat pose. So 2 or 3 times, boat pose. Again, legs can tap. To modify, they can float with bent knees, or you can straighten out the legs. Feel free to add a twist if that's in your practice, but flex the abs, maybe bring the legs higher. On the inhale, lower the shoulders and heels down all the way down at the same time. Lots of control. Making our way into our last bridge or wheel, if wheel is in your practice. If you have tried wheel before, but you're still working on it, I'll cue you through the second and third step. Otherwise, let's come into our bridge. Heels are close to the hips. Bridge the hips up. You can interlace the fingers, or if you want to come into half wheel or full wheel, hands are going to come under the shoulders next to the ears, so scoop them close, hug the elbows close, press into the palms as you inhale, landing onto the crown. Exhale, straighten through the elbows. Exhale, straighten through the elbows. Feel all 4 limbs strong. Press into the feet. With every breath, let the belly rise. Let the heart reach through the window of the arms. Feel connected through the legs. Continue to squeeze the thighs together. Eventually trying to straighten out the knees, but squeeze the glutes, protect the back. Any variation in your practice, a couple more cycles. If you're in wheel, chin to chest as you lower down. Curl the spine down. Everyone can make their way down. Hips last, articulating the spine, and then letting the knees hug into the chest. Release the back. Hands can come underneath the thighs. Well, no, let's just hug it in. Let's make small circles. Hug it in, make small circles. Switch directions on your circles. Feel a gentle massage along the back. Pausing the legs at center. Interlace the hands onto the right knee or shin. Exhale, straighten the left leg. Double check the left toes are pointed to the sky. And as you exhale, embrace the right knee into the right armpit. Feel the left heel heavy. Find a deeper stretch across the legs into the hips. The right hand can find the outside of the right foot. Left hand to a T, half happy baby, half happy baby. Anchor the shoulders into the ground. Double check the right sole of your foot is pointed to the sky. Try to keep both hips anchored into the ground. Allow the leg to sink into its socket. Big breath into the hip. If reaching for the outside of your foot is challenging, you can always grab the first two fingers on the right big toe instead to modify. One more cycle here. Exhale to bend the right knee. Inhale as you bring the right leg across the body for a stretch, for a twist. Hands to a T, lowering the right knee down to the left side. Notice if the right shoulder is rising, maybe anchor it down into the ground. Bring the gaze past the right fingers. With every breath, watch the ribs expand and separate. On the exhale, soften. Allow the legs to hang heavy. Feel a stretch into the low back and hips. One more cycle. Press into the shoulders. Inhale, return the right leg to center. Give it a quick squeeze, interlacing the hands on the shins. Squeeze it into the chest. Exhale as you release, returning it down to the ground, maybe shaking it out. Double checking the hips are even and squared. Interlace the hands onto the left shin on the inhale. Try to embrace it towards the left armpit on the exhale. Press the right heel into the ground. Double check the right toes are pointed to the sky. Breathing into the hips, the legs, and thighs. Left hand will come onto the outer edge of the left foot. Right hand to a T. Plug the shoulders down the back. Half happy baby. Left sole of the foot points to the sky, to the ceiling. Try to anchor both hips down into the ground, going to wherever you can. If this pose is challenging, you can always take the left first two fingers onto the left big toe to modify. But otherwise, with every exhale, feel the left limb sink into the socket. Continue to reach the right heel forward and down. Feel the limbs anchoring into the ground. Exhale to bend the left knee. Inhale as the left knee comes across the body for a twist. Hands to a T. Notice if the left shoulder is rising. Try to anchor the left shoulder down into the ground. Give the body a point to stretch from. Bringing your awareness to the tightest spaces into the hips, the low back. Watching those spaces expand up and out with each breath. One more cycle. On the inhale, press into the arms, return the leg to center. Give the knee a big squeeze. Exhale to release, shaking it out. Bend both knees, bring the heels towards the hips. Feet are mat distance apart. So feet are mat distance apart, arms to a T. Exhale the knees to the right, both knees to the right, lowering them down, going to wherever you can, just staying here for a breath or two. Feel a stretch up into the hips, up into the trunk and the belly. One more cycle, just breathing deep into the hip. Press into the shoulders. Inhale, return the knees. Double check the heels and feet line up with the edge of the mat. Exhale, opposite side. Allowing the legs to hang heavy, feeling the stretch in a slightly different space in the back. One more cycle as big as you can. Inhale to return the legs to center. Tick-tock the feet close. And we'll embrace the legs into the body. Release the back. Maybe rock side to side if that feels good. Let's bring the forehead to the knees. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze like a tight seed. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Then inhale, blossom into a big flower, taking out any excess tension in the body. Making our way into Shavasana. Palms facing up outside the hips. Try to tuck the hips to the sky. Maybe bring the feet a little further apart than usual, moving into the new space we found today. Softly tuck the chin into the chest, finding length in the neck. Big inhale, fill the lungs, let the belly rise. Exhale, open mouth. Relax the feet, ankles, and calves. Soften the thighs, hips, and low back. Relax the palms, shoulders, neck, and jaw. Soften the cheeks and forehead. Let the eyeballs sink into their sockets. Feel the body melting into the mat. Slowly begin to bring your awareness back into the body. Inhaling to wiggle the fingers and toes, softly circulating the ankles and wrists, maybe shaking the head side to side. When you're ready, inhale, reach for the wall behind you like you just woke up in bed, stretching across the body, and exhale to the right, coming into a fetal position. Feeling the comfort and protection this pose offers. Feeling a connection between your body, breath, and mat. Allow your left hand to assist you into an easy seated pose. Eyes are still closed. Taking a moment to notice any changes in the body from the beginning and ending of our practice. Slowly float the hands to heart center, feeling the warmth you generated between the palms. Thank you for tuning in with us today and sharing your practice with me. Thank you for bringing love, kindness, and balance into your life. I'd let this feeling linger with you for as long as you can. And until next time, namaste.